Yes, the first thing that occurred to me when you said, is it relevant to today, this ancient wisdom, is that it seems to me that the wisdom that comes from the Tao Te Ching is about nature and about the way the world is and about, in fact, the way quantum physics is. I mean, I think quantum physics is teaching us a lot about the Tao now. Things like the uncertainty principle. Things like quantum entanglement, etc., and all of that sort of stuff, which I don't really fully understand, but I appreciate the more philosophical implications of it. So it's the way nature is, and when we don't follow the way our nature is, the human nature, then that's when we get into all sorts of troubles. And I think we have got to a place now where we are experiencing a gross misfit between the human mind and the way that both the human body works and the nature of the entire world, everything that exists there. And we're trying to force things the way we want them to go, rather than to follow the path, the way, which nature will open to us if we allow it.
So the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding.
Can I share with you Kreger's translation?
Please.
Which says, you can walk on a path, but not the eternal path, just as you can call a thing by its name, but that is not its eternal name, the essence of its being. And what I find is that there's a lot of confusion in our minds between entities and phenomena. So many people talk of God as if God was an entity. Whereas in fact, God is a phenomena, if we want to think about God. T.S. Eliot summed it up beautifully when he said, truth does not exist, it happens. So we're not talking about a thing here. We're talking about the way things happen, the way that we happen as human beings.
Brian, I really want to pick up on your point about the way, the how. And actually, if I can share with you Ursula Le Guin's translation of the Tao Te Ching, the beginning at least of, and I mean, just the beginning and the end of verse 1. Ursula Le Guin's translation, she's focused more on the poetry. Fantastic. The poetry of the Tao Te Ching than anything else. So it's quite different than some of the other translations, but I think is both beautiful and in many ways profound. And if you don't have a copy, it may be worth getting, because just purely for her footnotes alone, which are quite wonderful. But her translation of verse 1 begins this way: the way you can go isn't the real way. The way you can go isn't the real way. And then in the last verse, she speaks about, so two things, one origin, but different in name. Two things, one origin, but different in name, whose identity is mystery. Mystery of all mysteries, the door to the hidden. So this idea of coming back to the mystery, coming back to the unknown, to the not knowing, to the maybe not even being able to know or name, is very powerful. It's a recurring theme in the Tao, and it feels to me it's the opposite of how we are in the world, right? We want to know, we want to name, we want to be able to slice and dice and organize things into nice categories. And this is the mind at work, right? This is what the mind does very well. Now, I'm not one of those people that says the ego is bad or the mind is bad. They're not bad. They actually have phenomenal capacity, right? And the ego too, it has a function. It enables our emotional and physical survival in the world. But what we do know is one of the things that is brilliant about the mind is its ability to slice and dice. So when it comes to the mystery or the way, it's very difficult for the mind to wrap its head around, or itself around, the way, the mystery. Because how do you slice or dice something that can't be named, that can't be categorized? And especially if you were interested in leading change, creating a better world, what do you do? What do you do with that? How is that helpful to addressing climate change, or taking your nonprofit to the next level, or solving homelessness, or whatever number of problems it is that we might be working on? Is it just a luxury to try and approach the mystery of the Tao, of the world, of nature?
So I can give you a non-answer to that, Rashmir, if it is helpful. So I think I'm coming to this probably as a less well-read person in the Greek than the rest of you. In fact, I went and had a look what my version of the book was, and it's not actually the Tao, it's an everyday Tao. So there's lots of excerpts in there, and it doesn't like follow through the same way as your translations. And I found it really deeply fascinating. Lots of it resonated. But because of this question, because for me, I couldn't reconcile how that works with my life as an activist and constantly feeling like I'm trying to create change. And I didn't reconcile that question. So I've come to you for answers.
Yeah. Jennifer, I'm really glad you're here, because for me, the beginning of any answer is in the question. And with wisdom like the Tao, it's the questions in a way that I feel are more important than anybody's attempts at an answer. So I hope you'll bring your questions. And for me, there's no naive or simple or basic questions around this stuff. Often, actually, the simplest questions can be the most profound.